Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Arrington, and hope you all are online and situated now. I got told I had a 10-second countdown, and then everyone would be here. So if you're in here, I am putting a poll out and would love to know what your answers to this question is. And first of all, we'll start with who has a LinkedIn account. So if you do, go ahead and please vote. If you don't, all right, please vote. That way we kind of see this before we start working on the topic today, which is networking in your transition. So looking pretty good. We have 10 people in here, 6 votes say they have it. The other 4, they haven't voted yet. So I'm hoping that they say they have one. And it looks like I'm only getting 6 votes. So, all right. Well, today we're going to cover growing your professional network using LinkedIn. Give you a little introduction. My name is Brian Arrington. I'm the founder and president of Vets to Industry. Vets to Industry is a nonprofit 501c3. It's a nationwide veteran service organization. And what we do is we provide a single site repository of all the free resources that are out there. We have over 1,000 free resources for service members, transitioning service members, veterans, military spouses, Gold Star family members, caregivers, and military dependents, whether or not they're children or adults. And we list all these resources that people can go to at any given time and stage in their life, so that they can find those free resources that are out there. Many that don't even know they even exist. We also host these great webinars with companies, Fortune 500 companies and such. We just had one with Amazon. And we also have these major virtual networking circuit events where we bring 350 to 500 people into a room, into a Zoom room, and we have a keynote speaker talking about some kind of career transitioning tool that's helpful, or career pivot tool. We have Fortune 500 company recruiters and staffing firms come and talk about their company and why you should work for them in like an elevator pitch. It's like a reverse interview. And then we also bring everybody together into breakout rooms, which enable, just like in here, those little tables, but we do it in just a Zoom breakout room where we have 8 to 10 people talking in a timed fashion. Everyone gives their 30-second elevator pitch to try to get the dust off of that and get people to practice. So if you're in here, and please go ahead and put your LinkedIn information into the chat. That way you guys can connect with each other. It's really going to be instrumental in your transition journey so that you can lean on each other and share the knowledge that you gain through your own job search and career search. So getting to the presentation, and I have to apologize. I have a little bit of a cold that's coming on, so I will work with it just as well as you will bear with me. All right, so LinkedIn. Now we'll talk about the networking portion before we get into LinkedIn. So today it's no longer just about sending a connection request. Okay, you wouldn't just go on a bus or a subway or a train and just nod to somebody and expect there to be a great conversation that comes out of it. Well, that's the same thing of just sending a connection request. You have to put something with that, an introduction about yourself. Hey, hello, how are you doing? My name is, and then what your ask or your need or your desire is. And then try to relate to the person on what they're interested in, what they're doing. And you have to make sure you've actually read their profile or know a little bit about them to instigate that relationship. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later and how you can find out about them to initiate that conversation. You have to invest in the relationship. Now, what do we mean by this? So a relationship isn't built in one day. It takes months, years to develop the kind of friendships and relationships that many of you have today. Can you build relationships with somebody that you play Xbox with? Yeah, absolutely. Or that you're at a book club with? Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't happen, with, hey, you're reading the same book I am. Great. Hey, let's be best friends. It doesn't work like that. So it's the same way in the digital space, which is going to be your bread and butter when you're transitioning. You want to start as early as possible. People think, oh, I don't know how to network. I've never done this before. You've been networking since you were in preschool. First day you went to school and you started playing with the other kids, and you're asking them if they're using that Lego. Can you borrow some? Can you borrow that crayon? Hey, can we color together? That was the start of you all learning how to network. And that came to every single grade in school, every single college course where you had to work together in teams. And then, of course, when you join the military, or if you're a spouse, joining the spouse clubs or the Key Spouse Network, or maybe you worked at an airman's attic or the equivalent in the other branches. So I was Air Force, so that's what I know. You built the network, especially if you were in the service and you were like the supply guy, right? How many people wanted to come up and talk to you and try to get in good with you so that they could get whatever they needed, whenever they needed to, right? Or you talking to another squadron or battalion and getting in with the finance person or with the cooks or whatever to make sure that you're taken care of and you're doing something for them to keep that relationship building. And maybe you became good friends with them. Maybe that good friendship over time became a best friendship. So that's how the networking piece works. We all have done it. We all do it. We never called it networking. But now if we shift our mindset now, especially as we're transitioning out, that, oh, I've been building relationships my whole life. That's what networking is. It's not a dirty word. It's something that you can do not just for yourself, but for others around you that are friends of yours, or that you're going through this transition journey with. Good example. Let's say you have a battle buddy that is stationed in California and you're stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, and you both came in around the same time. You're stationed at two different bases, but you're both getting out at the same time. So you're like, hey, it's great. You stayed in contact for those 20 years, and you said, hey, I'm getting out. Hey, I'm getting out too. And you get on LinkedIn. These people, that person does not. And you start learning all about these free resources out there. And you're learning about how to build your brand, your professional brand. And they're just, on Facebook, perhaps, and they aren't learning about all these materials. And then you talk to them and they say, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this transition. I don't know where to go. I don't, TAP didn't provide me what, the answers I needed. And you start providing them the information you got. You convince them, hey, LinkedIn, there's a huge community of veterans and service members that will help you out. And you reel them in, and then they start learning a lot of the resources that you didn't, that you knew about, and also making connections with other people that you don't know. And you can actually bring your networks together to help both of you. So if you find out about an opportunity that is in a field that your friend wants, maybe it's IT, cybersecurity, you can actually pass the name of the recruiter or organization over to your friend so they can get interviews and or informational interviews, which we'll cover in a little bit, to that individual. And likewise, let's say you're going into HR, they can tell you about free certifications that they learn about that could help you in your journey before you get out. So you can get certified in SHRM so that you can then be more able to land opportunities because you have that certification. So so how do you connect? Well, it starts with building that relationship. And when should you do it? Well, you should do it as soon as possible. I know that's not an answer, but it's a catch-all. If you started networking, and I don't know if people on this call that are getting out in 3 years or getting out in a week, the time to start networking is now. So it doesn't matter if you're getting out in 3 years or in 1 week. Today is the day that you start networking. After this class or even during this class, you should be putting all your LinkedIn contact information in there, and people should already be clicking on it and sending personalized invites, not just hitting the connect button, but sending personalized invitations to each other. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and why. Now, how can you connect during a COVID world? So things got a little different when COVID struck, right? Events started closing down, and I'm going to give you a little story. So for me, I live in Atlanta, and I go to a lot of the veteran events in Atlanta. I'm part of Vetlanta. I'm part of the 4 Block alumni down here in Atlanta. I'm part of the Bunker Labs alumni down here. And so, the National Black MBA Association, Atlanta chapter, Minority Veterans of America down here. So there's a lot of events. And when March of 2020 hit, all the events just got canceled. And I'm like, what the heck? Because all these transitioning service members and spouses were left without being able to connect with hiring managers and recruiters and veteran mentors and veteran service organizations. And so I'm like, well, what's going to happen? These people are still transitioning. That's not going to change. They're getting out. And this was before they actually extended the time that people could actually choose to stay in. So these people were getting out, but they had nowhere to go. And unless they took a course like this, they didn't know how to, go out and network in a different way. So that's when V2I, I came up with the networking circuit events, which is a platform allowing people to come together from all around the globe at different times. So it could be Pacific times, Eastern time, 2 p.m., and then at night overseas. And we have service members from overseas, Bahrain, Germany, Turkey, Japan, Italy, all coming on at different times during the event. So that is one way that you can still continue to network during this virtual life cycle. The other thing is there's a group called The Key. And they're out of San Antonio with Ray Domingo and Samantha Domingo. And they're an awesome group as well that you can build a network with. There's things like Vets on Tap. So if you're in a location where there's a Vets on Tap, you can check them out because they do live events. Now that we can go out a little bit more, but so there's places to go, but you gotta connect with each other to learn about where they are, what they're doing. and the community engagement. And we have a lot of those communities on our resource page. So if you go and you look at community engagement, you can look around the country to where you are and find one of those communities. So what makes a quality connection? So this is a question for you all. So I want you in the chat to just come up with your idea on what makes a quality connection. So you all answer that question for me in the chat. For you, what makes a quality connection? Come on, y'all can do it. Real fast, real easy. We don't need a book report. What makes a quality connection to you? Anyone? There we go. All right, someone willing to share connections. Great. The highest quality LinkedIn connections are with other professionals who can help each other meet professional goals. Wonderful. Someone that you can add value to, and they do the same for you. That's a perfect example. You reaching out to someone or somebody reaching out to you, and you don't immediately ask for something. You talk about what it is that person needs or how you can help, and then being able to act upon that and follow up. It's not enough to just connect with somebody. You have to follow up, continue to follow up, and build that relationship by actually doing the things you say you're going to do, whether that be provide them a name for a project they're working on, or maybe they want to get into government contracting. So you drop a name like Jenny Clark, who works with the GovCon Summit. You do things like this to help them, and you don't ask for anything yourself. And so when it comes around, they want to do for you and help you out. So that's how you build quality connections. You don't just hit the connect button all day long on LinkedIn and expect somebody to respond and say, "Oh, I'm glad you finally connected to me. I really wanted to do all these things for you." That's not going to happen. All right. So great answers to that. All right. So moving on. So we'll talk about social media. All right. So fun fact, social media, 1 in 5 couples meet online. 2 new members sign up on LinkedIn every second. So we're going to talk about what is LinkedIn, how to build a strong profile, how to build a strong network, and how to use LinkedIn as a job search tool. So there's 3 guiding rules. Build your network before you need it. Build a quality relational network, not a quantity relational network. And think aspirational, big. All right, so building your network before you need it is what we talked about, where if you're 3 years out of separating, you want to start now, right? If you're a week from separating or retiring, you want to build it now. The earlier that you start building these connections, especially with recruiters and veteran advocates, the longer they see your face and the more often they see your face and your posts and what you're doing and what you're interested in, the more they're willing to help you, especially the closer you come to your transition window. They're gonna, the squeaky wheel gets the most attention. So you want to be the squeaky wheel. You don't want to be the annoying wheel, but you want to be the squeaky wheel. Building that quality relationship instead of the quantity is, like I said, you don't want to just go down and connect. You want to be like a sharpshooter with it. You want to go to the profiles of people, and we'll talk about Boolean search here shortly. And you want to find people that are in your industry that you're thinking about going into. so you can get on informational interviews. You want to find people in your geolocation. Maybe you want to find networking events that are going on there. So you find people that are veterans in your geographical location and say, hey, are there any kind of events going on? Maybe you find people from your alma mater who are in the local area. Maybe you go to Syracuse like I do, but you're in Atlanta, and like, what's the chances that there's any Syracuse here in Atlanta? Well, there's actually a big group of folks here in Atlanta, and they meet every week to watch football together, college football. So it's things like that you wouldn't find out unless you did some searching, and LinkedIn makes it really easy to do that. And then think aspirational big. LinkedIn is the only place that you can go and actually get an interview or a conversation started with a CEO of a company. Whereas if you went to their building, you couldn't get past the first floor with the security checks. But you can go right into their home, right into their office, just by connecting with them on LinkedIn if you're smart about it, and craft a good elevator pitch or discussion point, or compliment them on a speech that they did so and so that you also have an interest in. Then you're locked in. So you don't have to just use it for okay, I want to be a computer person. Maybe I talk to a network analyst. Well, how about talking to somebody that's high up in the computer industry that created a network type solution that people are using. And I don't know, I'm not a computer guy, but just an example. You don't have to think small, you can think big and use LinkedIn as a portal to get there. All right, so why should you use it? All right, so some statistics that are out there. All right, so 313 million users worldwide on LinkedIn. In the US alone, it's 100 million users plus. There's 30 million students and recent grads on LinkedIn. 35% of users check it daily. So, what are they doing at work? They're checking their LinkedIn, possibly for new opportunities, and maybe it's part of their job to look at LinkedIn for maybe sales navigator or something of that nature. Then you have 42% are updating their profiles on a regular basis, which also means 58% are not. So, who's going to stand out the most on LinkedIn? People that are updating their profiles as things change, or people that aren't. 56% of users are male, 44% are female. That's obviously fluctuates. There are 2.7 million business pages, 1.5 million groups to join. And if you haven't joined any of the groups on there, you should, in industries that you are really desire to go into. There's actually a Veterans Mentor Network group, and the Veterans Mentor Network group has 150,000 members in it. And if you join the group and tell them a little about yourself, a lot of times a mentor will come and start talking to you, and maybe you hit it off well. That's one of the ways where I got my start on LinkedIn. That was the first place that I ended up falling, was into the Veterans Mentor Network. Let's see, a 2013 study conducted by the Society for Human Resources Management, SHRM, shows that 77% of hiring professionals are using social media on their search process. Of that group, 94% are using LinkedIn. So, did you know you are 11 times more likely to have your profile viewed if there's a photo? So a lot of times as service members, we really like to look like we are, the the best looking service member that there can be in our dress blues, or are looking as tight as possible, buzzed haircut, or up in a nice bun in uniform with the American flag behind us. That's not what corporate America or the private sector is looking for. So you want to save that for your military retirement photo. And on LinkedIn, you're going to use something that makes you look like you fit in to corporate America. Even if you're not going to corporate America, if you're going to construction, you want to fit yourself to look like the industry that you're going to go into. So a couple examples. You're going to build a profile, build a network, and build a brand. All right. When you start on LinkedIn, it's been a long time for me. 2019 or 18 is when I found LinkedIn by accident and built my. So I don't know if it's still this screenshot anymore, but you sign up. It's going to give you all these options. And we saw like six people when we did the earlier poll. 6 people had already set up their profile on there. So if you haven't done so, this is what it would look like. You're going to set up your headline. Make sure that really sticks out, because that's the first thing people are going to see, other than your profile picture, which is going to jump out of them first. All right. So the photo, you want to make sure it looks good. Good, clear, light background. You're smiling, not looking like a sergeant major. No offense, sergeant majors out there. It's a joke. And not one like this. All right, where you got pic of you and your doggy, or you're out there, whatever that guy's doing, or a glam shot, wedding photos, and definitely no R2D2s. All right, no matter how bad you want them. All right, so obviously you don't want ones with like you have somebody's hands over your shoulder, and you crop out the rest of their body, and you just got a hand in the air next to your face. You want it to be professional looking, and just of you, no other body parts. Okay. So LinkedIn profile checklist, you're going to make sure you have the photo and the headline, and you want the headline to really show what it is that you are interested in doing, and in the post career, post transition. So that's HR, if that's cyber, if that's finance, financial services, if that's construction, if that's marketing, whatever the case may be. All right. You don't want to lead with transitioning veteran. Okay. It's okay to put transitioning veteran somewhere in your post, about yourself, but you don't want it front and center up top, because nobody, well, not necessarily, but people aren't necessarily looking for a transitioning veteran. Now, you could put it in the back of your headline, as long as that's not the first thing that's there. Recruiters are going to be doing searches and stuff. They might be doing searches for military members, but where they're going to get that information is from your experience. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but where it has your experience, it needs to have the official logo of the branch of service. And that's how they actually find if you're a veteran or not through those other searches for keywords necessarily. All right. So here's this guy of a completed profile. He's got his information up top, what he is or what he does, what else he does, what he's been awarded, and that he's a veteran. Okay, but it's when I had this, and I've kept it, I didn't have transitioning service member. I just had U.S. Air Force, and then when I actually transitioned, I put veteran. But if what you don't see here is down, I've got the picture of the U.S. Air Force emblem that actually links me to being having worked there. And that's what's going to drive recruiters to your profile. If they're looking for diversity in their work center and they want to hire a veteran service member, they're going to do a search based on, Marines, Navy, Coast Guard, right? Army, Air Force, and that's how they're going to do their searches. All right, so you're going to write your summary, and in the summary, you're going to describe what motivates you. All right, what you're skilled at, and what's next for yourself. It's kind of like an elevator pitch, but a little bit longer. And you really want to speak to your skills during this. All right, and then so the summary is your about section, okay? And so you're going to put as much information in there that's going to really talk about what you can provide to the next company that hires you. Because right now you are employed by the military. Well, that employment's about to end, and you need to go on and find your next employer. So you're trying to tell that next employer what it is you can provide based on the skill sets that you attained during your career in the military. All right, so experience. This is what I was talking about, where you would put those service logos, service emblems in there. All right. Once you do that, it automatically tells LinkedIn that you worked at that company, and consider it all companies. Every emblem. So if you are a graduate of 4-block and you put the 4-block emblem in there, it's going to show you, especially if you do it in the volunteer section, it's going to show you that you volunteered for 4-block, or in the training section that you are, a student of 4-block, or if you did IVMF, they have a bunch of different IVMF, Institute of Veterans and Military Families, for those who don't know, out of Syracuse. They give a lot of free resources, free classes to service members. I'm actually in one right now, the EBV Spark program, which is the Entrepreneurship Boot Camp for Veterans. Is phenomenal. I'm in my 3rd week with it. So I highly recommend you take a look at the free resources at Syracuse University, IVMF, and the Onward to Opportunity program. So experience, you're going to just do a little blurb about what it is you did at that company, and you can actually do little bite-size bullets in there. It's not a resume, but you can actually give them a brief bullet points on what it is that they did, or what it is you did. All right, organizations. So just like your resume, this is an opportunity for you to, kind of let the recruiters know that you have a life outside of work, right? That you're involved in community activities or other services other than yourself, so they can see that well-roundedness. So this is where, as long as the organization has an official logo or emblem in LinkedIn, then you can type it in. And if it comes up with the actual official logo, you select that one. Be careful, because there are some organizations that have a little bit different logos or emblems, and that are made there fake. And so you want to make sure you pick on the one that's actually correct. People are out there trying to fake things and make things difficult. So Pick the right one. You have the education and the volunteer experience as well on there. So you can put as many education as you want. So if you want to, I highly disregard putting anything about high school on there, because no recruiter is doing a search for high school grad. They're looking for associates or bachelors or certifications or masters, things like that. Nobody cares that you went to a high school. All right. And they don't care what your grade was at a high school. All right. Skills and expertise. This is one of the most important sections, because when recruiters are looking at your profile and they do a keyword search, they're looking for specific skills that applicants might have, or candidates might have. And you want to get people to basically add skills to your profile or endorse those skills. And this might take that building the relationship with somebody and them seeing that you are a leader, or them seeing your writing skills, or they see that you are always posting about human resources in chats, and you're going to these meetings, these webinars, and these roundtables. Like, oh, this person really knows about human resources. And so you want your most important skills that you have to be the first ones and the most clicked on that you can. So you're trying to get that 100 plus, as many as you possibly can, so you're an expert in those fields. So that the skills and expertise is reliant on the quality of your network. The more people that know you and know how professional you are and how good you are at things, and are willing to give you credit for it, that's where the skills and expertise will help you with recruiters. Honors and awards, courses, projects, recommendations. This is another thing that people will look at, is how credible are you? If people have put a recommendation down that they would like you to, that they liked you mentoring them, or that you were on their team and you were a great employer or employee, you want to request those, and you can actually request a recommendation when you're in a chat with somebody. All right, so essentials. You want to be able to claim your unique URL. And there's a way of doing that when you're in your profile. You want to participate in groups, use the alumni tool like I talked about, actively update your profile and complete your profile. So this is how to grow your network. So in the search bar, everybody sees that this is where you're going to try to find people that you would want to engage with. All right. So once you click on the search bar and you click on, there's an all filters place. Once you start typing in something, you're going to go and click on second degree connections, because first degree are anyone that you know are already in your network. So what you want to do is you want to start building relationships with people that are outside your network. Second degree connection is somebody that's connected with somebody you know. Okay. So it could be like, so your neighbor knows the guy at the grocery store down the street, but you don't know that person. So they are a second degree of you. Now, in order for you to connect with that person to be a first connection, you would have to go to that grocery store, meet that person, and then you guys know each other. So now that person becomes a first degree connection. That's how it works. Now, a third degree connection is the guy or the person or girl you're connected with is a first degree. That person that person knows is a second degree. You never met them before. And then this person knows somebody else that you're not connected with, that's a third degree plus. Because then anybody that person knows that's not in your circle or in your second degree tier circle is a third plus. So it could be that 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? Somewhere out there, there's somebody that's 300 plus connections from you, but you can easily bring them into your network if you find a third degree, especially in one of your posts. I always go to that profile and look to see if there's any commonality, and I connect with that person, because that opens up a whole line of network that I had never seen before. So it opens up a whole ton of second degree connections, which are a lot easier to find than those third degree connections. So that's a pro tip. All right. So you want to put secondary connections, who we're going to do a look for. You can see it says connections of, locations, industries, past companies, current companies. All right. So what we're going to do is you're going to go and we selected in this example, United States Air Force, past companies. I think we're looking at Wells Fargo on this one. Secondary people with English backgrounds. All right. And then that came up with 31 people. It wasn't Wells Fargo. I'm sorry. We're looking at San Antonio. Sorry. So veterans in the San Antonio area. And so 31 results came up under my search. It's going to be completely different from what you find, because you're going to have different second degree connections than I will. Right? You understand? All right. So that really wraps up the LinkedIn and the networking portion. And I wanted to leave the rest of the time, 30 minutes, for any questions or things of that nature. So if you have a question, I think there's a Q&A place. I haven't been on this platform before. So if you have a question, go ahead and post it in the Q&A, and I'll go through it in order. And believe me, there's so much more to talk about networking and LinkedIn. Like, you can download all the connections that you have and the security and privacy. I do it every week because I get connected with so many more people. And then I use that to tag people. Can you share a little bit about V2I networking, since it's a live opportunity? Oh, yeah. So what we do is every month, so this is once a month, we have all of you come together at 2 p.m. on Saturday. And during this event, we'll make sure everybody starts off hearing the keynote speaker. And it's come and go as you please. So it's a 5-hour event, but it's kind of like a hotel bar, right? Everybody wants the hotel bar open 24 hours a day. Doesn't mean you're going to drink at the hotel bar all 24 hours a day. Hopefully, hopefully you're not. But everyone wants the ability to choose when they want to go and drink at the hotel bar. So that's the same thing about a V2I networking event. We're open 5 hours, well, 6 hours if you count happy hour, because a lot of people like to stay afterwards and ask questions that they didn't get a chance to ask during the event. So we have 6 hours, but 5 hours of the regular scheduled time. And people just get an opportunity to build relationships. And I gained a best friend from the V2I networking events. Eric Brew with Still Serving Veterans. If you all haven't used them for your resume writing or support, free resource. Reach out to Eric Brew and the Still Serving Veterans crew. They're amazing. So they're also a partner of Vets to Industry. So hopefully that helped what you needed. Do you have any recommendations on how to ask for informational interviews? Yeah. So this is what I do. Once I find a specific person doing that Boolean search, and what I'll do is, let's say well, I'll give you a real story. So January of 2019, I'm supposed to retire in July, and I was doing the hiring our heroes corporate fellowship program in Atlanta under John Phillips when he was still doing that. And for those of you who don't know John Phillips, he wrote the book Boots to Loafers, huge bestseller, amazing transitioning book. You should read it. It's amazing. But John had all these companies come to the event, to the recruiting event for us, and one of the companies was Slalom. And I'm like, what the heck is Slalom? So I did a search online, and it said it's a consulting firm. And like, what the heck is a consulting firm? And what's a consultant? So what I did was I did a Boolean search, and I looked for veterans and all the branches that lived in Atlanta. And when I did the consultant search, I looked for all the consulting companies, and the big four kept coming up, like EY, KPMG, Accenture, Deloitte, and Slalom was on that list, but they weren't in the top four. And so I did a search of people at Accenture, Deloitte, KPMG, and EY in Atlanta that were veterans. And this guy named Bamadel came up as a reservist in the Air Force at KPMG. So I sent him a message. I said, "Hey, Bamadel, my name is Brian Arrington. I'm transitioning from the Air Force. I saw that you successfully transitioned yourself, and you are working for KPMG as a consultant. Would you be available for a 15 to 20-minute phone call so I can learn a little bit more about what a consultant does day to day?" Sent that. Within an hour and a half, he had read it, sent me a message back, said, "Sure, I'm free tonight and get on a call." And so literally like an hour later, I get on a call with him, and we ended up talking for an hour. And not only did he teach me what a consultant was, but he taught me some language like DMAIC, what DMAIC meant, what the RACI model was. And I used those two terms for my interview with Accenture and Wells Fargo 6 months later to actually land my position at Wells Fargo as a consultant. So that's a real world example of me doing an informational interview, a cold email. It was a cold email on LinkedIn. They call them in-mails when you send a message. So a cold email, meaning I didn't know the person, so it was cold. No introduction was made between me and that person by another party. So a cold email led to an informational interview call, which led to information that actually helped me land my career that I'm in still to this day. So I hope that helped. You just have to make sure you're tailoring the ask to just having the request for the 15 to 10, 20-minute call. You're not asking them for a job or a career. Make sure you don't ask them for that. Now, if the informational interviews could turn into that person becoming one of your mentors, or even better, a sponsor. So if you get a sponsor, that means that person's not only trying to get you into their company as like an internal referral, but that they're trying to take your resume around and put it in other people's desks, and even bringing it to other companies so they can see it, and they're an advocate for you. And sponsors are purple unicorns. They're very hard to get. And you have to build really strong relationships with those people over time to get them to be a sponsor. So hopefully that helped. Have anything else? Any other questions? And there's a lot more we could talk about. Well, I don't want to end this too soon. Anything else? Well, I can talk about some veteran resources that are out there that people might find really useful. So if you you heard me talk about 4 block a couple times. So for those of you who are still on active duty or have transitioned and haven't used it yet, 4 block is a nationwide uh, resource. It's completely free that lets people that are have gone to college or getting their bachelor's degree to go. And right now it's virtual, but they're going to be going back into the classroom setting, which is where you want to go. You want to take 4 block in the class setting because they bring you to corporate headquarters for the biggest companies in the country, depending on where you are situated. If you're in San Diego, or if you're in Atlanta, or if you're in Texas. So depending, they're going to take you to the regional headquarters or the big headquarters there. So you can meet the hiring managers, the recruiters, the business executives on the floors that nobody else can get onto. They feed you and they teach you some kind of career topic, like dress for success, interviewing skills, resume writing, job market analysis, triangulating your career, all sorts of tools that when you start taking them, it really makes your transition clearer. Um, so definitely, and it's FOURBLOCK, 4 block. Yeah, that's a wonderful organization. I'm an alumni of that. For those of you out there who are entrepreneurs, there's a couple of resources out there for you. There's Bunker Labs. They're a great resource. There's also Warrior Rising. It's another great resource. You have Scores that you can utilize. Of course, the SBA. For those of you that are perhaps looking at education, if you come to our events, we have universities and colleges that come. So not everybody's choice is a career right after the military. Some people want to go to school. So, we recognize that. And so we bring universities and colleges to all of our events so that you all can talk to them about their different degree programs. And some people actually ended up, working at those universities because they want to, become teachers or professors. And so that they've actually been able to get on staff at a lot of these, or at some of the colleges and universities that come. Still serving veterans. I talked about resume writing. There's Candorful, CANDORFUL. Great resource for teaching you interviewing techniques and doing mock interviews. Highly suggest using Candorful. There's an organization called PurePost. It's purepost.co, I believe, and PUREPOST. And what they'll do is you'll go on there, you'll sign in, and you'll be able to select all of the things that you have skills in, and it will build your resume for you, and then it will help you to find real life postings that match everything on your resume to help you land careers. Completely free. Pure Post is awesome. Um, what else? What other questions do you have? I think I got 4 minutes left. 3 minutes. I can't have answered everything. There's no way. All right. Well, we have a couple events coming up. So since you all can't talk to me, I can talk to you about anything. This Saturday, We have the Vets to Industry Mill Spouse Mixer. It's starting at 2 p.m. Eastern time. There's still time to register for it. It's completely free. Everything we do is free. We might promote a couple organizations that it costs like $20 to do. I made the decision, $20 is not a big ask, but it's completely up to the individual if they want to go with that service. But I vet those services, and if I feel that there's a value in having it, even if it costs like $20, I put it up there. I won't put anything up there that costs more than $25 though, on our resource library. But this Saturday, Mill Spouse Mixer, don't let it confuse you, because veterans and service members and caregivers can come to the event, and it's completely free. And there's networking right after the first hour, so it's amazing. Then we have our 25th event, which is December 4th. That's also on the Vets to Industry website, vets2industry.org. If you go to that, I didn't mention ACP. Thank you, Mark. So December 4th, next networking events are 25th. It's we're celebrating it because we've made 25 Vets to Industry networking events, which is huge since we started when COVID hit. So American Corporate Partners, if you have not done so, you need to sign up and get a mentor. If you're within 1 year of getting out, or you've already gotten out of the military, or you're a military spouse, it doesn't matter how long you've been out of the service. You need to sign up for American Corporate Partners. It gives you a mentor for a whole year. They do priority pairing if you mention that you found out about them from Vets to Industry. So there's a drop down. You select that drop down, how you heard about ACP, you pick Vets to Industry. We have 1,000 mentors that are on our account, and you get priority placement like right away. So make sure you do this, and you get a mentor from a Fortune 500 company that will guide you for that year to help you in your transition, completely free. You have to do it. I did mine, and I landed successfully because of it. I was partnered up with the program manager for the Simply brand for Coca-Cola for the whole North America, Brian Ostrowski. And now Brian's on my board of directors at Vets to Industry and one of my closest friends. So the conversation doesn't have to end after 1 year. It can continue on if you built a good enough relationship, networking. So yeah. Hope I got everything else, Jordana. Think I'm at time. She's still here.
I'm still here. Thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate your time. You dedicated a lot of time just to share all this with us. So thank you so much for all that. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Love being here. Hopefully it helped and gave some value to everybody.
Yeah. Well, if you can stick around, we'd love to have you in the lounge, and anyone who can follow up with you there after this session, and we're going to get another session started.